At this time, I'll call this special meeting of the Port Lavaca City Council to order on this Monday, July 24, 2023 at 1:09 p.m. Usual formalities, and I will at this time ask if anyone is here that is signed up to speak before council or that wishes to speak before council on a topic not on the agenda or any topic. Seeing none, we will move on. Look at our action items. Action item number 1, consider appointment of members of the Port Commission to fill a vacancy. Jody, you want to tell us what's going on?
Mayor Council, we have received a letter of resignation from Mike Kavarik. It's in your packet. His new job to assign responsibilities that makes it very difficult for him to make the Port Commission meetings, so he has resigned. In fact, he had missed this meeting was his 3rd miss in a row. And so we are proposing Mr. Robert Knox, who he submitted his letter of interest when we were looking at reappointments a couple months ago. And he is still interested being and serving on the Port Commission. So we're bringing him forward to council for consideration to approve him for a new term on the Port Commission.
Move we appoint Robert Knox.
Second.
Y'all want to hear from him? He's here.
Dad,
And so,
you need insurance, you'll be happy to talk.
That's right, the insurance for investments.
so actually we have a meeting tomorrow morning at 10 because we didn't have a quorum last week. So if you can get here early tomorrow, get sworn in, and then you can sit.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to appoint Robert Knox to the Port Commission Board to fill a current vacancy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. None opposed, the motion passes. Congratulations.
Good, Reddit.
Thanks. One of the tougher ones. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, consider nominations to the Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission General Assembly for 2024 fiscal year. Jody?
In your packet is the nomination form. We did get an extension to submit that tomorrow. And as I understand, if we had just do anything, they would just assume we were going to keep the same people. But we just want to have council look and reappoint Alan and Rosie, if assuming they're still interested in serving. I wasn't, I'm pretty sure Alan is. I have not talked to Rosie about this. Get at large position. I just got clarification. What that is if we wanted to have somebody to nominate to the FY 2024 executive committee, it was just explained to me that obviously being executive committee takes a lot more time and more of a commitment that not everybody's willing to or able to participate in. But if in fact, Alan or Rosie were interested in stepping up and being more involved, we could pose their name as a nominee for that at-large position. But I haven't talked to either one of them about that.
Well, I guess I'd be curious if Mr. Geary would like to get involved in the Golden Crescent. I think Ms. Padron would be okay with stepping off, and
I'd like to get more familiar with what all is involved. I don't want to just get something.
okay, it's one meeting a year. And it's just it's kind of like, so this is 7-county area. Golden Crescent's like a 7-county regional representative. Maybe Jody can explain it better, but it's like I'm on the environmental committee. Alan's a voting member on the I guess the general council.
General Assembly.
General Assembly. I don't know if there's any other.
Well, and Rosie's position is actually
On the environmental, so each of the cities and counties have representatives on different groups, but I mean, this is a way to just jump in and get involved. That's really the only way to get involved. It's just.
I don't think there's a huge time commitment on this.
This one is.
You volunteer for other
Other
committees.
things, right? This is one meeting a year, the General Assembly. So,
What other committees are there? Is there like a list that we are talking about?
here comes Miss Padron now, so. I don't know if there's any openings. Alan actually has been pretty active on the committee, he's in touch with more of what's going on, so it's fortunate he's not here.
Yes, there's several. There's the General Assembly, there's the Environmental Committee, there's Economic Development. And then there's another one, I can't remember which one it is.
It's a good position if you want to network with some other governmental agencies, which you'll meet at the cognitive.
Yeah, you meet other commissioners and mayors, and some are just citizens.
Get an idea what they're doing in there.
Good learning, but it's good as
We talked about the General Assembly, or maybe discussing.
Do we need a yes or no today or what?
Who on there unless you know that you want it.
I think we need to get the paperwork in.
Yeah, we need to submit it.
That's why it's on this special session.
But it's redone every year. If you wanted to wait a year and see. It's only for a year if you wanted to wait a year. Maybe he wants to go to TML first and learn more about being a city council person first. I don't know. That's up to you.
So I mean, Rosie, you're not necessarily interested in continuing.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah, you don't really do much. I mean, you meet once a year.
Right.
And that's about it, that you have a,
It allows us to be represented,
right.
so.
Do it then. Which group would I be in?
The General Assembly.
General Assembly,
Basically, you get a vote.
you get a vote.
General Assembly.
You want to volunteer for others, they'll put you on other.
Presentation.
You don't have.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you basically go and there's a presentation on whatever they're speaking and you get a voting, right? And that's really about it.
Put me in there.
Okay.
That'd be good for you.
Yeah, first.
I'll make a motion that we keep Mr. Alan Tippett in his position and then add replace Mr. John with Mr. Aguirre.
Second.
Second assembly position. That makes sense?
Motion nominating.
Okay, you're keeping both Rosie
No.
and
No, no.
taking Rosie out.
Yeah,
Dan,
replace-
Daniel will replace Rosie.
Okay, Dan, okay.
Just nominate.
No, we're appointing.
Just nominate.
This is for
Nominations.
the nominations down here.
Appointing our
Appointing
nominee.
yes.
We have a motion and a second.
Jim seconded.
Motion and a second, appointing
You
our
first.
representatives to the Golden Crest Planning Commission for fiscal year 2024 to be Daniel Aguirre and Alan Tippett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign?
Who seconded? Who seconded?
Jim.
And then
If not opposed, motion passes. Okay, Jody, we supposed to nominate somebody too?
no, we don't have to. What that is again, if either Mr. Gary or Alan wanted to be even more involved and be nominated for the at-large executive committee, we can do that. But again, it takes a whole lot more time even than what Alan's doing now. So I haven't talked to him about doing that. So
Monthly.
yeah, there's a lot more of a commitment on that. And there's not a net, we don't have to nominate anybody.
Sounds good, like.
Right, do we have a closed session? Session. Okay, we move to agenda item number 3, and at this time I will announce that council will go into closed session to discuss matters in accordance with Title 5, Section 551.074, the Texas Government Code, to discuss appointment, evaluation, duties and responsibilities, reassignment of participant, officer, or employee, or to hear and complain or a charge against an officer or employee, specifically the interim city manager. So
The time now is 1:19 PM and I would, and everyone, please step out and council will begin its session at that time. Oh. This time I will announce that city council has completed its closed session on this 24th day of July 2023 at 1:40 PM. And we are back in open session. And we will move on to agenda item number 4, which is to take any action necessary with regards to matters from the closed session. We do have one matter to take care of, and I would entertain a motion from council.
So I'd like to make a motion that we give our city manager a $5,000 increase to be distributed effective the next pay period through February 8th. 2020. So a $5,000 salary increase to be distributed between the next pay period through February 8th, 2024. It's distributed equally.
February 8.
Does it have to include the part that we'll do another evaluation in February?
We're already gonna do that.
That should.
That's-
That's just an automatic thing. I thought.
Let's just begin to December. Right, need a second?
Second.
I think we have a motion and a second, increase to
Give the city manager a $5,000 salary increase to be distributed in the next pay period through February.
Legally.
motion and a second as read by the city secretary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. Right, I'm gonna entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
So move.
Okay. Second to adjourn the special meeting, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Take the number of weeks to buy. You'll figure it out.
You want to hear a break before we start the workshop? It's a 5-minute break now before we begin the workshop.
Hi, everybody. Don't miss me. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks. See you later.
There's some snacks in the kitchen, drinks. stuff like that.
City Council to order on this Monday, July 24, 2020, at 1:56 p.m. We will skip the usual formalities, and but I do have to ask if there's anyone here that wants to speak before council at this time.
No comments? All right, seeing no one here at this time, we will move on to our regular agenda, which is agenda item number 1, discuss 2023-2024 capital improvement plan and other plans. Jody?
Yeah, Susan, you want to start? us off?
Sure, I'll start it off. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As you remember, I think it was a month or two ago, we passed out the last year's CIP to y'all in its current form and asked for any input. We're, moving into this year's budget season and for planning purposes. And then so we've gone through the departmental meetings. City manager has met with each department head, looked at their budget requests through our normal budget process. Those items that we feel are CIP. We've tried to identify all of those and get them identified for you all. We've assigned project numbers to them, just like we talked about previously, trying to associate numbers. Got rid of some of the duplicates because I was getting confused with the different names of the projects. So the smaller handout in front of you guys is essentially last year's CIP in its final form, just for reference purposes. The larger handout is what has morphed into this year's just projects that are on here. And the first column, if you look from left to right, the first column under the year heading, that will explain what we funded last year during last year's budget process. Again, this is just for reference purposes only. Now, the next column, which is the 23-24 year heading, that column is essentially empty. We don't have any funding in there currently because we're seeking city council's input in prioritizing the projects that we have going forward. We have indicated, well, and it didn't come out on this. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's what I do get for printing at the last minute. We do have some projects that have asterisks next to them, but they didn't print out. I can either, well.
You gotta remember, as you're going through it.
Yeah, and I do have our markup here, Jody, so.
Yeah, the asterisks were just ones that based upon conversations we had and that we're probably pretty sure we want to get
into the current. Yeah, have city council kind of look at those and prioritize them. Do y'all each have a pen? We can just kind of go down and I can tell y'all which ones to just kind of mark. And I apologize. That's.
Yeah, that one.
So starting on, and again, we're on the large sheet, the ledger size sheet. On the first page, if you want to put a check next to the second one down, GF's 002, just put a check next to that one. Continue down to GF 127, which is right above where it says City Hall, so this is still under the city manager, economic development. That is the Half Moon Reef Lighthouse. GF 127. They're not necessarily in numerical order, but it's on the first page. Just
Right above where it says City Hall.
yeah, just right above it says Half Moon Reef Lighthouse. That's the description. And then following down from that,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
it's come up in the last few weeks, people talking with me about 35 Independence. And I see here lift station for Independence over on 35 next to the Executive Inn. Needs a lift station. How do we work that as far as the city that it's people that own the property or should get build a lift station, or as a city, do we fix the lift stations and then this way it enhances the marketability of the property?
I mean, you can do it either way. I mean, ideally, developer will come in and the developer will do it. But as far as economic development, we can do it. It's just right now, we don't really have the funds to do that. But I mean, it's not something that we can't do, but it can be dealt with either way. It has to be shown that it is in the best interest of the city and growth, for us to spend dollars on that.
Yeah, because a couple of the developers or people that wanted to do something said something about they were interested in the property, but they didn't want to have to.
Right. Well, and we can talk about that when we talk about when we go through the list.
Okay, well, I was just curious. I didn't know for sure. Okay, thanks.
And then just a few more down from that one, GF 009. City Hall Security Upgrade Phase 3. The check next to that one. Number 011, GF 011. Put a check next to that. And at the bottom of the page, GF 022. On to the next page.
I'm sorry, what do these asterisks represent?
These were just ones that we identified that we want to pay particular attention to when we go through. That
This staff feels that, okay, there's nothing on page 2. Moving on to page 3. It's about 5th or 6th one down, GF 043.
That's coming from the Parks Board.
And a little bit further down, GF 048, still under the parks.
What was the number?
048.
Swimming pool slide.
It's probably 1, 2, 3, 4 up from the last one in the under the parks heading there. It's a water slide at the city swimming pool. And then under the Bauer Center, you would have GF 123. And then GF 125. And that would be it. Sorry about that, y'all. Thank you for being patient. And thank you for saving paper, so I wouldn't have to reprint it. Save some trees. So, so again, as Jody indicated, these were kind of some of the thoughts that we had going through the budget process with the department heads. Jody felt it was kind of a good idea to just asterisk these or point them out to city council when you guys are reviewing this. And so again, back to city council's priorities. We've got a lot of projects on this list. Like what we explained to y'all last year, when we tried to bring a comprehensive list in front of city council. We're trying to overwhelm you or scare you or but these are projects that, staff has tried to identify, tried to get on paper so that we don't lose track of these projects. And so that we can bring them to you each year and make sure that these priorities are still aligned. You know, we've tried to put the funding source, some of these funding sources, right, are you know, carryovers from the previous fiscal year. And the year in which we want to do these projects may or may not be necessarily where we think it should be. And again, I think city council, it's a good idea for city council to help us prioritize how far out some of these projects might need to go.
And I think basically, we have what we talked about and adopted last year.
Right.
And that's in here. So what's different than we zeroed out basically this current year, whatever last year we had decided for this year, we bumped it, scooted over a year. So we can make a decision whether we want to put it, we agree with our decision last year, it needs to be in this coming year. That decision.
Yeah.
And then also we've added a few that we need to fit in that priority. No, this quickly, when we adopted this last year, the total for 2023-24 was nearly $1.8 million worth of CIP, which were of general fund CIP. Because we don't have that much money. So we've got it reevaluate, go back, and the rest of it is as we adopted it last year or new stuff that we may have done. So what we can do is just kind of like we did last year, kind of go line by line. Some of the stuff we discussed in detail last year, so we don't need to really, do all that over again, but we can give you an update on, our thinking on where we're at. Because
some of these costs have updated as well.
Costs and even our priorities are what we think is going on.
Correct.
So does that sound okay?
Sure.
All right. And then we'll just start at the top and work our way down. So the first one, the first one is in line with Jim's question, is lift station for Independence Road, which that 200,000, I can tell you, is not enough money. It will be quite a bit more than that. Again, I'd gotten an estimate for the lift station Jim was talking about, which is an area off of 35 that does not have sewer. And to do, a lift station that would address the sewer for that whole area there between Whataburger and Executive Inn or past that whole area that does not currently have sewer, we were looking, over $800,000. And so, I said, okay, we're not going to do that right now. They, individually, they still have the option to do individual grinder pump stations. But as far as doing a big public lift station that would handle that whole area, that was the estimate I got. This one on Independence, again, that would be to handle that area. There's some of the development in that area is still kind of up in the air, the future development. To where, I had a conversation with Jimmy Shelton at the grand opening of his apartments, and they're kind of, waiting on us to see what we want to do with the lift station, because clearly any more housing in that area is going to need a lift station, and how we would participate. Quite honestly, right now, we have some more priorities above this to get done. Ann Street lift station for one, to where I think we still need to keep it on there and maybe work with any potential developers on coming up with a realistic figure for that. But I don't see like a huge apartment complex or anything like that coming in anytime soon. The closest would be what Jimmy Shelton's looking at doing, and his timing is still kind of up in the air.
Well,
Could be a couple years, but bottom line, I don't know where we would get this money today anyway.
Sunday, someone mentioned the fact of about an apartment complex on Independence. And this is, I did not realize this until it came up Sunday, like I said, and this was just mentioned to me. And then the fact that I think you mentioned one time that our sewer plant handles we're about 75%, right? As far as
Yeah, and
usage.
we are working
As of-
expansion project.
As of the 20th, we're at 78%.
Well, the question is, what would be the when would we expect it to be functioning? Because this was a question, somebody said, okay, if you're operating at 75% right now, use of facility, and you wanted to build a couple of things, and that would run it up awfully close, when would, I know we're doing the work on that advancement or expansion, but
I mean, we're still 2-3 years out, easy before it would be an operation, expansion would be an operation, right?
The engineering will be complete probably February.
And then we gotta go through,
Then we gotta go through.
we gotta get grant funding. I mean, we're still looking, we gotta get,
CCQ's got to approve everything, then you go through the funding process, so it wouldn't break ground until late 24, early 25 anyway. And then you're looking at probably 8 to 10 months construction time. So that pushes you out 26.
yeah, that's like 3 years at least. before we're
Jeff?
there.
Downs and Danny Smith and a couple of others have been talking about, and you mentioned Eric Ho is talking about building some homes.
That's not gonna be that's not gonna be within 3 year future, just not his existing ones. But I think all that, we just have to look. I mean, that, we could still get up to, once we hit 90%, that's when we gotta be in construction. And that's what we're working for. So we got another 10 or 11% yet to go before we would be in trouble. We still got a year and a half to get actively in construction. So, I mean, yeah, but anybody thinking about that, we need to sit down and look at how many units they're looking at and just make a prediction, make sure we're still okay. Yeah, out there in Independence, the key is there's no way to get it to the public sewer system right now. We're without a lift station.
So this station would be
At least $500,000.
The ones we just,
one by water.
Burger
that,
requires more piping and more connecting.
that one, I think part of it is, because of the force main, it was estimated to board under the highway. There's other routes to go, but then they're longer and there's a lot of contingency in that. But bottom line, I think, we need to keep it in there.
50 to 500,000.
Yeah, we probably need to look it up, increasing that amount, but it's not something I don't think we can fit in this coming year for sure.
And just a side note, I wouldn't put too much thought into the percentage my wastewater plant's at capacity wise. Because you figure I've got 500,000 gallons per day capacity available. And with the daytime population of roughly 13 to 14,000, we're only meeting 75% of my 2 million gallon capacity. It's going to take quite a bit to get me to 500, and an apartment complex is not going to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's we still got room in there. Yeah.
Just this.
Well, since I don't
Began
understand
by-
how it all functions and all like that, and they ask me questions and I'm thinking, I don't know,
Well, they can just come talk to me, Wayne, or.
But,
We need to put that.
$500,000 lift station in there for 2020.
Yeah, when we do that.
Because it'd be 2027 before. they get any more attention.
Well, like you said, it's a good idea, maybe partner with somebody on that. one.
Right, I mean, it's gonna be hard pressed to justify that all on our own.
That makes sense.
I hope stays down on 300. Yeah, by the time 2 more years, it's probably gonna be.
So then next is one that we did put an asterisk on, and we've been talking about this a couple years, the new gateway sign landscaping of Highway 35 and 87 and 35 in the causeway. Well, we put this off last year because our hotel occupancy tax was down. We have been able to squeeze out, what, 150,000 in our budget this year to handle that. I do know to get an engineering bid package put together is going to be between $25,000 and $30,000, the balance of which can go for construction. So that probably will not purchase both, but I think that will at least be enough to do the one at Highway 8735. And if it's not enough to completely do the other one, we'll have the plan, and then we would have to budget for another one, but
Close to the causeway.
yeah. I mean, I would think the priority would be Highway 35 and 87.
So we have the
Landscaping
Bauer,
around
so the
by
Bauer
causeway,
sign,
it looks
Huh?
good.
Bauer sign, when is that gonna get updated?
The Bauer sign, I mean, we're waiting on the just the message board is what we're doing this year.
Just the message, okay. My thought there was you've got the Bauer sign, that can be your message for welcome to Port Lavaca coming across the
Right.
causeway, so you may want to start on the other side
Right.
first.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. We'd start at Highway 35 and 87.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then,
The old sign by the shellfish doesn't look that bad. It just needs some landscaping.
It's an interesting location.
I know.
I can't hardly see it too.
but again, I mean, assumingly we're gonna come up with something different than what we've got at Highway 735, or even what's down there. And then ultimately, we want, consistent messaging, so we don't want one thing at Highway 35 and 87, something completely different down at the other end. So, I mean, that might be part of the project is we remove that one down by the bridge. You can't really see that well anyway, and so it's not giving a mixed message. And then, I'd like to, throw in this 150 and make that a capital improvement project for this coming year.
Is LJA doing the bid package for that?
That, we have not signed a contract or anything, but they've offered, and they've submitted one
They're
that,
ready to go, right? Because they were.
yes. I mean, we want to pick that back up with the vision committee and do some more workshops and stuff to catch back up, but we kind of put that on hold. I think we can fund it this year. Go ahead and move
Well, I
forward.
just have a question. I know this is sort of probably wrong, but the fact that we have a sign out at 3587 right now, and we have so many pressing matters, that is this one of the most important things that?
Well, that's the question. I mean,
That's the visioning.
I mean, that's
Very
the
important.
question. I mean, if, I think we all agree that we need to have a better, present ourselves better to those that are coming to our community, looking at it as a potential place to invest. And right now, it needs some improvement in that area. This goes towards that. That's why it's under economic development, is that we need to make city more attractive to those that are coming and seeing it for the first time, or, again, present ourselves in a more positive and scenic light than it is.
Well, I'm
now.
not trying to be negative. It's just that like there's so many things in the city, like empty lots and people.
Well, again, this is hotel occupancy tax.
Yes.
So there's only we're not proposing to use this as general fund.
Those funds.
Oh,
So this would not go for potholes or stuff. This is specific for things that will bring people to the
This is the
community.
sign that GBRA put in for us 10 years ago.
It's longer ago than that. I don't know. Did you already five?
oh, it was about 10.
TBRA did the. It's longer than that.
No, I don't know who did it.
TBRA did the landscaping around the city park. So
That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in my opinion, this is going on with the vision committee. We're gonna start doing stuff at the park, more stuff at the park, right? I mean, we've got more when we get to that point, we're gonna be doing more in the park, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, well, that's where we're looking at priorities.
Okay,
Yeah.
So this is a continuation of that. So if this is.
But again, this is up for discussion. It's not like I don't want to put anything down anybody's throat. I mean, if we wanted, we could just do general landscaping. I mean, do we want to?
We do, because we want people to visually look at our town and go, remember that sign, you know, instead of drive through and go, oh, that was the ugliest town we've ever seen.
Well, couldn't that sign be upgraded or repainted or something, bring the colors?
This is from the visioning committee, and I agree that that sign doesn't necessarily portray who we believe Port Lavaca.
And I think the old sign is under there, isn't it?
That's what I've been told.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
that, you know, and quite honestly, I don't know that the old sign might portray us better than that new
They
sign.
had shrimp boats and everything on an old sign.
Really?
And it was
Yeah.
a shrimp. Yeah.
No, it didn't have shrimp, it had the shrimp boats.
Oh, it's a shrimp boat.
It was
I
shrimp
think it was
boats.
seahorse, that's what it was.
Folks don't represent us.
Well, what other projects would hotel be used for, if not?
So, you know, the easy definition of that is heads and beds. So hotel motel funds, we can use that to bring visitors into our city to build up our hotel industry. So it's supposed to attract people to want to come stay here.
So what other projects do we have identified besides this one that we would use that? I guess my question is, if this money is there and we don't have it allocated to anything else, what's the point? Why don't we just do it? Why don't we do it and move on?
New signage along 35 or wherever. New attractive signage, you know, to direct you downtown or whatever, but I think that all kind of, that, me,
So that's what that project, the 25,000 would be, to say, let's figure out what kind of signage we need.
Right,
And then we'll go from there.
right, and we, you know, and we had this discussion in staff too, whether we wanted to actually go through a branding exercise or not. You know, we've got and we sort of did some of that with the downtown waterfront master plan. I don't know whether we can kind of do that on our own without spending money for a consultant to come in, but personally, and I may be wrong, that's why I'm looking for input. The discussions we had in the visioning committee was that the existing message that is portrayed on the sign at 35 and 87 isn't really Port Lavaca. It's more of a yacht club, not Port Lavaca.
Well, why don't we just do the project? Why don't we do like 35,000 to initiate a project to do the sign, you know, develop a proposal for signage in line with the visioning committee and the waterfront development project. For now, since we're not going to get a sign for, it's going to take 6 months to a year to do that anyway.
We need to have a workshop to coordinate.
Yeah, so at least we can.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's go ahead and get that started, and then we can later put funding for the actual physical stuff. But that's kind of a compromise.
Okay, so I mean,
Next line item.
so at this point, if we just maybe nominally put 50,000 this year and 100,000,
Let's see that.
okay.
And let's kick the project off, because I think everybody agrees we need to do that. So.
Describe the sign
Yeah,
on 35 coming across the causeway.
the one that there's a sailboat and some of the big fish tails and. Not a sailboat, it's a
It's that sign
sailboat.
about like this, right?
It's a brown wooden sign with blue writing on it.
I will
It's
tell
in
you
the red.
this.
Fresco built it.
I will tell you this.
It's made up.
It took, I had to go and personally just drive over to find the sign because people had talked about the sign and I've only seen one.
You can't see it.
You can't see the sign.
I can't find that every day.
I feel absolutely
Vegetation.
horrible. Have worked here for going on 8 years and I've never seen it.
Oh, you see.
Well, I think it was there.
You just don't notice it. It's like me, I couldn't tell you what it was.
You didn't recognize it.
Shellfish, if they had some landscaping done and landscaping was right.
You can
see it now.
And right when I started working here, the palm trees that were actually blocking
Blocking it.
had died, and now that they were renewed, now you can actually kind of see the signs, so, but.
Okay, well, we'll,
Look at that.
So that's line 2.
There's
I think we need to work on that sign first if we're gonna do something, because that one is so hard to see.
no, but again, it's not, no, we want consistency in what we're doing. There's no point in throwing money away, right? We don't want to go invest, and fix something up if that's not what we want. And we've been talking, again, this was a year ago. At that time, the visioning committee decided that we wanted to come up with a new, nice sign for both ends that better portray who we are in Port Lavaca. And that hasn't been identified. We've had different ideas were thrown out, different materials and stuff. We have not had like a final presentation yet, because that was kind of done as part of the downtown master plan. But the next phase would be, as you said, sign a contract with LJA. Let's go through the process and get one design and put a bid package
So
together.
you've got yacht club on one side and you've got. Where's the other one?
The other one is sailboats, I think, on this side, on 35A. Sailboat.
I suggest we move to the next line item.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have any idea what actually represents
We're
this?
gonna have a meeting later.
Okay.
That's what the vision is.
I have no idea what would represent the city anymore.
Never mind. Let's go to number 3.
So 50,000 to 100,000, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Boats have been over.
I mean, that's what the old one was.
From Southern Pacific
Old one.
Depot on the $100,000 that we budgeted this year. This is my feeling for this, is we haven't spent this yet because we're still working with the railroad on the land and try, because we don't own the land. The plan was to make some drainage improvements to the site and then make more improvements to the depot so we can better utilize that facility. Well, I can't, right now, for us to do the project and meet all of the railroad requirements that they're requiring and thinking that it's an active railroad, it's like $250,000. And I'm not gonna spend that kind of money. We don't need to do all that stuff. So my proposal is we just put that on hold, put that down a few years while we're working with the railroad. I mean, I don't even know how much money we're gonna need to buy the right of way yet. I was hoping to have more information by even today, but I still don't have it.
Sounds good.
But I'm thinking there's no point in spending money right now. We've got other things to do, put that on hold for a little bit. We're utilizing more Bayfront, even Lighthouse Beach. The depot really hasn't worked out yet right now as far as an active event place until we do some more work.
Is there any way we could improve the parking lot? I mean.
Yes, but I mean, all that's money. It's so where do we put our money, you know? No, we don't. I mean, we can make it, when I say improvements, we can grade it off, but we don't own the land to do anything. Yes.
The railroad is notorious for not giving up right away.
They're not doing anything. I think it's.
Go try the railroad, yeah.
They don't care. They never let go of right of way.
No, he said they will sell it to us.
Yeah, for $250,000 or something.
It's a market price, but the problem is, it's just the process, it takes forever. Is, I mean, they're waiting to find out still whether the Surface Transportation Board has to go through another process to even release it. So it's just taking, it takes.
Horrible to work with that, with the railroad.
Yeah.
Because they put two yield signs or 2 stop signs in that. But as you come into my neighborhood.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, but even all that's with the ADA ramp and everything, that's probably that $100,000. And so that's the question. Do we want to even spend money to bring all that up to snuff now, when we're probably not going to really utilize that facility for another year or two until we can make some improvements?
Why can't we use it?
Okay.
I mean, it's not, well, one, we don't have, it's not ADA compliant. And there's no fall protection.
There's no bathroom.
Well, and the bathroom, we wouldn't be putting a bathroom in it anyway, but that's the debate, but.
We can grade
But
the,
at least we got it weathered in. It looks nice. It's not going to continue to deteriorate. So it's there, it's fixed up, waiting till we've got the resources, then we can go in there and make the next stage in conjunction with our plans for the the Bayfront Master Plan, which was to make a park of that whole area, right?
right.
And so once we own the land, then we can move forward with all that stuff.
Well, let's move this with the vision, with the.
Yeah,
And then the next two items, yeah, you can just.
Same thing.
gloss over them. Those are associated with that.
yeah, and the same, again, this was from last year, the paint only, the old fire station, City Hall. Again, that's the same dilemma. I mean, I could probably spend that 50,000 and paint it, but it's not anything that a painter's gonna be able to warranty even, because you get over there, what are you gonna paint? The doors need to be replaced, there's stuff that needs to be demolished, it's not an easy thing that I can paint, but I'm just throwing paint, make it kind of look better, but it's not gonna be,
The trim that needs to be.
there's a lot of stuff that need to be redone.
What about if we tear it down and just make a parking lot over there?
It's a historical.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
Building being used for anything?
Let's defer that till next.
Building being used for anything?
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to use it for this.
City, we use it for storage.
It's just another old building.
It's a historical old building.
I mean,
Sorry.
but again, it's the same thing. It is dried in. It's, there's no pigeons in it anymore, yeah.
Well, let's take care of those items with the waterfront development project and all that, right?
Right, yeah, and, maybe we can get some grants down the road.
But it looks terrible.
It does.
Later, good thing.
And that's, there we're talking about beautifying the city and we've got this ugly building standing there.
But what I'm saying is though, we can't do it for 50,000. We're looking.
There's too much repair that needs to be done to it
Gotta
before you
replace
fix it.
overhead doors. There's parts of the building have to be demolished.
Surprised it ain't fall.
Yeah, at least probably.
And we would like to know what we're gonna use it for so that we don't demolish the wrong thing.
So, yeah, when we get down to the end of the list and we look at everything, we can go back and realize it's really not, it doesn't fall in the top. Now, some of these also just, again, with the downtown master plan, again, hopefully maybe we can get some grants. Crosswalk enhancements. Now, the nautical landings, parking lot improvements. That could be a phase 1 project for our downtown waterfront master plan. I'm thinking just the parking area right behind nautical landings. Roughly $300,000. Nice parking, curb and gutter, landscape, and a 10-foot wide shared use path across that. So that, I mean, but whether that is so critical in our,
So what's the plan for the waterfront development project? I mean, we're getting close to the recommendation phase, right?
we've adopted the plan.
We've adopted the
plan.
plan.
But I mean, so now we got to go back and we've got all these points and we have to set the priorities and we have to start working through it. Are we going to start doing that this budget or?
If I would like to do some stuff, yeah,
So for
again,
me, instead of doing it like one in economic development, one here, one there, I would like to see the plan and let's say, okay, we want to attack this plan. These are the priorities and then we.
and a lot of it is probably going to be, grant funds.
Okay,
And one of the things that we are budgeting this year is to get a Parks Master Plan done. Because you cannot get any big Parks and Wildlife funds without having a master plan that's less than 5 years old. And ours is, I don't even know how old. So what
we have to do that before we even, so I would rather, I mean, I wouldn't want to piecemeal this stuff until we have the plan and
Okay.
prioritize it. I mean, that's my thought.
yeah, no, that's.
But it just seems to me that if we were to say, okay, which one of these items are going to bring business here? Which one of these are going to get houses built? Which one of those kinds of things? And then work at that first. And then these other things, and I think it's great because I hear enough people criticizing the city for the ugliness of the city and all like that, but it just seems like that what we want to do is to make sure that those things that does enhance as far as progress and building and development here would be the main things. That's just me.
Well, the next item is the Half Moon Lighthouse. And this was when we did asterisk, and this is $50,000, Derek. That's what we were looking at least the interior of the lighthouse, paint interior and deck, or just,
Just over 7,000 for the interior, or just under 8,000, I'm sorry.
but then the deck. So
And
the,
the deck was at 20,000.
so we got nominally in here $50,000 to make, and then I think some landscape improvements or whatever. This is again, just something to look at. We have a lot of tourists that come to town specifically look at that lighthouse. They
Yes.
can't get in and
Is that hot funds eligible then?
this would be hot funds eligible, I would think. Yeah.
Who owns that? Do the city actually own it?
Knows again, we have to work with the historical commission. They actually own it. But I think we have an interlocal agreement of some sort that we maintain it, right? I mean, I know we did the air conditioning.
Wouldn't this be a candidate for like, to raise money,
Yeah. It would.
as an external project that the city wouldn't necessarily have to look much into? I mean, that seems like, I think the whole community would like to see that thing fixed.
I mean, we can certainly try to raise money, maybe put enough to
You think?
Like a save the cost.
Maybe we could all buy a lottery ticket.
Well, it's just like the thing that I have down on watch yourself. On Main Street, during Christmas and stuff, I don't know what that is. They rate, it's a fundraiser. We do this the same way.
Yeah.
And
There's
you could
an idea.
create a fund just like we had for.
yeah.
Too much vacation time.
Okay, we'll get with
I think that would.
But no, I think it's good. It's a good project.
It is.
Do something with it. Yeah.
And it's something people see as they coming in.
But we don't
And
technically.
Jody and I went to this training last year at TML that was really good. And it's about this kind of stuff and the signs and the waterfront project, how we have the logo. I mean, it all ties in, and that guy showed us exactly how it all tied in and how we need to improve on things that people see, because that's how you bring them in and that's how you keep them coming back. So I think that would be a good idea. I mean, that one was really great.
I do know that lighthouse people do come here. to
Come and
see that.
see it.
I think it's such a historical thing, and if
Yeah.
you know anything about it, because I see people over there wandering around a lot.
But yeah, currently the deck really needs to be replaced, and you can't let them inside because the paint, when it was painted last time, the paint has failed. And it just,
Leave the
it's,
50,000. And then move on to City Hall.
I mean, you want to, I mean, are we considering that a priority this year, or just hold off funding anything and try to get?
Start with the fundraiser and
Yeah.
just leave the 50 where it is.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking that's a fundraiser.
Okay. Okay, City Hall improvements phase 2. Yeah, I mean, phase 2 is what we're working on right now. And we will spend all that. Then City Hall upgrade phase 3, which is our security upgrades. That is what basically what I put on your table in this place, which I can briefly go over this. There's 2 parts of this. I would like to do next year, which I think we talked about some last year, is do some improvements to the north entrance with bollards and rework drainage out there, and the ADA parking, get a sidewalk up to the front door from the ADA parking spaces. I'm guessing that would be under $50,000 to do that. But the City Hall security plan, this is just conceptually what I've come up with after discussing it with Randy Harris, who came in, did a security audit for City Hall. And I think I gave that, I know I gave it to the security committee. Did I give that to everybody on council? Did you guys get a copy of that security? I may have been waiting to hear back from the security committee before passing it on to council, and I will do that. Because we did meet with the court security committee met 2 weeks ago, I think, and went over that. So if I did not send that to you, I will send that out to everybody. But and just in conceptually, we're looking at a couple things. One, trying to improve the functionality around here, to put municipal court on the north end near where court is. Then that would end up actually displacing permits. So get permits down here on the south end, right adjacent to finance. Because right now, permits is in the middle and people come get their permit, they got to walk down and pay for it, and then they got to walk back, to permits. If they were all in the same area, it would be easier for the public to, get and pay for their permit.
Yeah, but the thing is, it might give them a chance to do a little exercise if they're not.
Well, that's
doing it, you know, so.
But from a security standpoint, then the recommendation has, been, or one idea anyway, is if we provide security at either end of the building, to where, that has your bullet resistant enclosure and a door that has to be buzzed in. The public can't just go in and out free will. They have an appointment or get buzzed in somehow to enter the interior part of City Hall, so that each office doesn't have to have all that security. The security is either end. So kind of where I've got the blue highlight, that would be your ballistic protection ends. And then, so inside, you don't have to have each door protected and all that kind of stuff. You're protecting on either end. The yellow is, the finance has their own kind of security that nobody's supposed to you got to be buzzed in to get into the finance area. But so conceptually, to do this would require, moving a lot of walls. And again, this is very conceptual. I have not yet talked to Ronnie McCoy or anybody else as far as getting any true cost estimates for the whole thing. Just based upon, we just spent $300,000 to redo either end and this landscaping. I'm sure what I'm looking at here is probably at least $300,000, to do all this. It can be done in stages. I would like for this coming year, top priority would be, getting a protection at the utility billing counter. And if we can get, then from there, swapping municipal permits in those areas done. It'll be a process.
What about that entrance over here?
That one it's not an entrance, it's only an exit.
So it's locked all
but
the time, you can't get in.
You can't get in, but that is an area that you could put a ballistic film over the door. So anyway, again, I don't know. We talked about this last year and make sure we put this on our CIP, that we didn't, lose sight of it and felt that it was a priority, safety of City Hall. But, is this something we want to at least start working on this year?
Yeah, I think we need to start moving on it.
Yeah.
For the utility billing, are you looking at the film?
Well, it would need to be, the whole thing doesn't need to be glass. I think we need to rework that whole end with redo that with a storefront type enclosure. We can have either fur down to where we don't need all that glass, and have a minimal amount of glass that, yes, would have a protected film on it. again, something down below to protect. And there's architects that do this. That have more expertise in this than I do, but that's kind of my thinking. Do that. If you notice on the floor plan, let me just point out that the way this works, the public can still be buzzed in. This is creating a hallway, right, actually within two offices that we have now, where we would be creating a hallway to go through. And all this area down here would be dedicated for permits. And at the other end, we'd have double doors. I'm assuming, and this, I haven't looked at the codes or anything, I'm assuming I would still need double doors out for safety purposes.
So the entry, would it be by key card or key code? What are you looking at? So.
Either or,
yeah.
yeah.
Would be the priority to get that, or would it be to get the glass around the utility building first? What do you?
Well, I mean, right now we have key card in there already just for utilities though. That door does have it, but just for utilities. So to rebuild this, you'd have to rework some of this. I mean, okay, let me back up. You could do the work for utility billing independent of everything else. That could be done as a project. But then the rest of this, it's all tied together. Figuring out how far to go and where you can stop.
How about if we do 150,000 this year, next year, and then you come out with a prepaid.
Okay, well, what I need to get with probably Raleigh McCoy and kind of identify that. I'm guessing, right. That might, because if you notice, even at this end where the municipal court is, for that to work, it's demolishing the closets over here.
Okay.
So.
Well, we don't have a plan right now, so how about if we just put some money in there and then why don't we?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We're gonna allocate, how much are we wanting to allocate in the plan? And that's what will work to that now. I mean, I really think to do this whole thing, we're looking at more than $300,000. But
So
We do 150 this year, 150 next year, and 150 the following.
I mean, I just putting it in perspective, we know that what this door, and the landscaping was $300,000.
Okay.
So I don't know what 150. I don't know.
Well, let's get the.
Well, if
We
we,
send it to the architect.
if we're,
Budget for that, and then we can budget.
Okay, and that's,
50 to start. If we can do
Yeah.
the security at each end. I'm just trying to understand why we need to move the walls and do everything. Okay, I'm being a cheapskate now.
this is what it,
kind of planning for the future, we do need office space and additional office space.
But that's a whole discussion. I mean, that's a whole discussion for later. I think now, we've
right.
got a whole lot of line items to get through.
No, and that's
So
that's-
let's just.
okay, but think, we're looking at the whole year, so I'm not saying give me $300,000 right now, but are we, if we allocate just that for engineering, okay, we're gonna engineer it and then we're gonna wait and do anything until 2025? Or are we gonna,
Well, until we know how much
Till
we're
next
talking about,
October.
we really can't. I mean,
okay, so but again, so maybe are we saying that we conceptually thought we may have like $800,000 in general fund to do stuff. So what I'm hearing is that, okay, we're gonna allocate some of that and then keep this pool of that to actually maybe do some stuff by the end of the year. But we'll go through this whole list first and
I
then.
don't know about the 800,000, that's it, but yeah, I mean.
that.
Security, I mean, in my mind, we need to deal with security and we need to move forward, but right now we don't, I mean, there's not enough information for me to make it, would know what you're.
Well, and we're not, anything like the council, we're just trying to, again, prioritize and just understanding that of all this work, we at best may have it to total $800,000 when we get done.
Okay.
And so what I'm saying is we, if we dedicate all that, then we don't have money for anything for the following year.
So y'all have had this list, this was in last year's budget. We adopted it in last year's budget. I guess what we're trying to do is get feedback. We've added a few more things, but of those things that we, identified on this list last year, we're looking for your input. Are you still very strong into, okay, what are some of those things that, hey, we didn't get to do or fund last year and are those still your priorities, or should we just kind of follow what we did?
So
Here
it is a priority. So we'll and at least put money, dedicate money for, to get a bid package together. And then maybe, I don't know. And then we'll be looking at,
Well, and
Budget amendment.
next year we did identify and put 50,000 and then 100 and 100.
right,
The following 2 years, we can put it back in that way.
yeah, the 50,000.
Yeah, just like Mr. Dent said.
We can address it later and make changes.
Do 50 and then do 150, because if it's gonna be 800, I mean, we don't want this to be a 10-year project, but we can make.
Right.
it.
Okay,
We can look at that later.
Okay.
so
Get to hear from the officer, because with better numbers.
the, and the renovations to the counter area. That's just, again, some functionality behind the ballistic wall. The one thing we did want, staff thought was a priority was, and this is new, the drive-through pneumatic tube system replacement.
It's used a lot, or was.
Well, the drive-through system has been breaking down an awful lot over the last couple of years. We do have a maintenance contract, but even with the maintenance contract, it's very difficult to get them to come out. And then we just found out that the company that makes made the pneumatic tube and does the maintenance is now filed for bankruptcy. So we're looking at maybe some, a whole new system.
I would consider the drive-through as a priority, because I think you've got to be customer friendly. I would agree that that is an important thing. I would also say, I think of the doors for the municipal court be shielded in somehow, some way, and that where they pay money both at the front and for for the municipal court. Those are all priority, I think, because you've got to protect the money, you've got to protect the doors, and I think that would be the best place to at least start there. And and then we can see what's left and see what we would do after that.
Okay.
And I didn't
That's
mess
the architect fund and
No, we,
Yeah.
figure out what we need to do later.
So we're moving that one 38,000 into this year's, or this budget.
Yeah,
And that is also, we're hoping that estimate also might get some type of, no, it's not. What we'd like to do after we get the pneumatic tube and the drive-through replaced is come back and maybe build something like at a drive-through where you're shielded from the rain when they're, because right now, if it's raining outside, the person in the vehicle is getting wet, and to kind of save the mechanism, and try to protect it. So
again, I think that whole thing is a priority for sure. You have to have a bank account.
again, we've got the re-roof on here, just put out a few years, so far. So, I mean, we have leaks every once in a while, but it's not the roof, it's the AC system condensate leaking. Okay, under finance, we just put out, eventually down the road, we'll be looking at, a new financial software. We talked about that last year.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Nothing we're looking at the next year or two. Yeah.
Financial software.
Under police department, this year we did do the Southern software. And that's, Colin, that's been done, right? That's working, the Southern software? Yeah. And so what we've got again down the road is doing a combined training grounds at where the out there by where the old dog pound was,
It's at the very initial stages.
Yeah.
This you can apply for, right, funding for actual training facility. And if we can piggyback off that. And incorporate the old fire range. To big. Questions.
So we've just got some money in there in a couple years to be able to, and that might be something we could look for some grant funds for as well. Generator, we recognize that, we want to put this on the list at some point. Our generator out here may need to be replaced. We just refurbished it last year, so it should be good for a few years. Animal control building, we're spending that this year. Guess we put on the far right column, eventually need a new incinerator. The one we've got seems to be working fine.
Right, there's a. Partners every now and then, a lot of those replace those.
And new storage building demolish of the old building, 40,000. I mean, there's been some talk about trying to maybe work on that existing building, but
Building.
I don't know. We kind of came up with thinking that it might be just, there was a lot of money to invest in an old building that it might be just better at some point to get rid of that and buy just, yeah, because we don't really need all that much room.
Does it seem reasonable to invest? I know that's back about the incinerator, but to pay to have cats, feral cats and dogs fixed, and then not so much the dog, but to release the cats back into the community because they do get rid of rodents and snakes and things like that. And then when they pass, and there's not going to be any more. But I know that it's one of those things that are, getting that to pay for something like that, I mean, that's the city.
I know there's a couple of vets in Victoria that do them for the cats at a lower rate. Because we have people in our neighborhood that pick them up.
Well, I remember
Yeah.
one, and Ken will probably remember, I don't know, I remember when the animal control person came and said that we had put down 800 cats one year. And the fact that this is something that's such a problem, it seems to me like it would be worth pursuing it. I think Rosie agrees.
Well, I don't like cats on my cars. I don't know any cats. I don't feed them. I mean, I don't want to be cruel to animals, but
So, I mean, well,
I don't want them released back in.
But
so
what
the
they-
proposal is to what?
What they did in Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong, Rosie, but what they were doing in Victoria is fixing the cats so that they could not reproduce and then releasing them back. If they were feral cats, to release them back. And then because they do keep down rodents, snakes, things like that. And so therefore, you don't have to kill them. But when they die, and that's it. But you are keeping because there's still going to be cats. But the fact that we had to put down 800 in 1 year, just.
You're saying you're keeping them from reproducing.
Yeah, they can
Right.
drop them off in
They'll die off
Victoria
on
after
themselves.
they can fit.
Cats are very prolific. Yes. Well, it's just a thought. Because every time I hear the word incinerator, I think, you're taking some dog or some cat and go throw it in the fire, kind of. No, they don't throw them in the fire alive.
They're not allowed to.
No, I know.
Joe, you want to go for yours? Move on to fire department.
Fire department.
First one, the lower trailer, we're 25,000, we're gonna use out of this year's budget still, because we had a cost savings in the cascade system. On devices,
So we don't need that.
yeah, you don't need that.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
Well, fire apparatus wordsmith. That's the price for as a for a used ladder truck. But met with the county last week. They want to give me Jody. County has a fire truck that needs to be replaced. And only they're gonna be able to afford a whole $1 million for a fire truck. So they might come and ask the city if I go half of them on a fire truck.
But basically, they had said they didn't see a need for a ladder. And
So one thing this witness, Weaver also brought up, maybe we can probably we'll have a MOU with Formosa Plastics. And if we needed a ladder truck, get their ladder truck down here quicker. So I like that idea if we could work out some of the Formosa orders then. But it only gives me a 30-minute ETA for them to get here at least. So it's gonna be crucial for the supervisor, on-duty supervisor, once they see a need right away for electric, have them come in right away. We do need a ladder truck in this area. I believe we have a lot of high-rise buildings coming up, big square footage of buildings. Something brand new, you're looking at 2.3 million.
You know, we had a ladder truck,
Correct, we have a ladder truck.
but we got rid of it
We bought a used ladder truck. We bought a 20-some-year-old ladder truck. We had it here
from city of Victoria, which had just been completely gone through. So it was like new, but then all of a sudden we decided we didn't need a ladder truck, so we got rid of it.
we were spending more money on that truck than any other truck. Keep it up.
So
All we ever used it for was fly a flag over here at the parking lot.
was the county interested in putting half on a new fire truck?
Well,
with
that's
us?
what they wanted to do with us, but on there, because they're doing budgets right now, so they wanted to get with us.
They don't want a ladder truck.
They'll have no need for a ladder truck.
If it's in cost between the ladder truck and the truck they would be interested in.
Well, we have an
fire
engine
apparatus-
apparatus on here for 800,000. Is that still
So it's 200,000.
Well, the last one we got was 835,000. That's a couple of years ago. So, but we don't need all that type of equipment on that truck.
I like the MRU better, but I mean, if you think that if that's not gonna work out, then you could do half with the county and just pay a little bit extra for the ladder. You know, we can absorb that if we need it.
Gentleman that's in back here. He didn't know that the city had a volunteer fire department here because he said the city, why didn't the volunteer fire department get a truck here? I have no idea. Guess he works for both sides.
The MRU is probably the best way to go. Okay.
But he was curious about the deal with the county, say that Formosa gave the county a bunch of money for fire trucks.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that Port Lavaca had a volunteer fire department here also. So he's like, well,
One also.
yeah, he was like, well, I get a fire trucks and
Oh, okay.
and then the cascade system. We did get that, that was on order right now. It should be in beforehand. The ATV, we got a grant this year already.
And the traffic control devices we skipped that one.
It's doing one,
We're just
right?
doing one.
Right.
The prices came way over and we're gonna replace that one on Highway 35.
Yeah, we basically decided the one on Austin Street was just too expensive compared, it's not needed that bad. Ongoing.
The one we really need is one on Highway 35. Now, it should be completed. Talked to the engineer. He said he has got text out on all the permits supposedly already. And one of the things on the very last one, self-contained breathing apparatus. That's one thing they're working on a couple of years down the road where it's not, they're replacing our pack.
So it's there just to let y'all know that that's.
Yeah, down the road. Okay, thanks, Joe. And then services, this has been on there for a couple of years, the GIS software. And actually, we are currently looking at a different option that would be significantly less expensive. And working perhaps with what is it? Lynn Short, what's LPS? It's LSPS. He's working with other small communities in GIS using a different program than Esri. So we just started learning about this last week. So we're working, but I mean, instead of 82,000, we might be looking at 10 or something. It's a lot, a lot less, but we want, bottom line, we've been talking about this, and I think I can't see any good reason to not do it yet, to put it off for another year if we can work it into the budget. And so I don't want to work it into the budget at 82,000 necessarily, but if this works out, potentially we might, we're also looking at perhaps adding a GIS technician or something, somebody that would be on staff, work it. Potentially we might be looking at contracting with Lynn Short. Anyway, there's still a lot of balls in the air we're trying to figure out. But I am trying to active on GIS. So by this time next year, we have our water layer, sewer layer, storm sewer layer. We can actively start utilizing GIS.
This would be in development services and not public works.
We've got it in the development services because really that's where we need it. I mean, Public Works uses it as well, but we use it in development services. And when people come in looking at developing here, where can I get water? And so it's kind of a dual functions, but it's generally in the development service. That's where people come initially to do their planning. And then, of course, we get with Public Works to verify, we get down to the details. But usually that kind of stuff comes from development services. Okay, Wayne, streets and drainage.
That into this year's column, is that what you said?
Yes, but it's not gonna be.
Not at 80.
Not at 80,000. So,
Yeah.
but we'll keep it as, we're gonna try to put that in this year. What we need to get it to go. I don't know what that number is right yet. Okay, you want to run down through this?
Yeah. Didn't we already?
Yeah,
It's not really that many.
the independents we talked about last week, last year, sidewalk, again, hopefully that's gonna be a tech dot grant. The 1.5, we figured that was the engineering for, that Civil Corps is doing for both Independence and Alamo Heights.
Yeah.
A lot of this is just the projects that we kind of came up with, looking, things that we see may need be done within the next 5 years. Our street between Avalon and Suncrest, for us to put a sidewalk there is gonna be more of a substantial project because that sidewalk's gonna have to go out within what's currently pavement. So if we do that, that's an estimate, 160,000, that would be needed to complete that sidewalk. Smith Road, which is, we've talked about to do a sidewalk and potentially also a bike lane all the way from Bay Vista all the way down. Lane's got 275.
Yeah, I based it off of the concrete estimator and linear footage or square yardage. And I've been approached by several people that say it's a need.
So would you put it on the sides of the road?
It would be
Because in Washington DC, They have it straight down the middle of the,
Likely.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you can, but you gotta have barriers.
And-
Well, no, but I'm just telling you, I mean, you know, and Austin has a pretty nice one too. But I was just like,
The plan would be to put it on the right side where that large shoulder is.
I mean, the sidewalk would go on one side, but
Text up.
in my mind, the bike lanes would really be painting. You know, establishing what's already currently there, but establishing that as a bike lane. And,
Do you have one on each side on the bike?
yeah, you'd have to have one on each side. But, I can tell you, we're taking a poll right now with the Leavenworth Island States and, the majority of people do support a sidewalk. It's not as many also support a bike lane, but, I think it depends on if you bike or not, but. they-
Personally, I don't see a bike lane. I don't see a bike lane. I don't know who's gonna ride a bike. There's nobody riding bikes much anymore.
There's a lot, actually.
Except Joe, except Joe.
and he rides everywhere. He can tell you everything that's, you know,
But the bike lane would be on the existing asphalt.
Yeah.
So that's not, that's just a strike. Okay.
For them really-
They drive fancy
Right.
trucks.
Majority of the cost there is
Sidewalk. So
well,
it's
you
a
have to
5 foot
watch
side,
it with
5
that
foot.
paint, because that's where he slipped on that white paint.
So are we recommending moving that to this year?
that
I'm
what we were leaving up to you guys, if you wanted to prioritize it for this year or leave it where it's at.
I guess. I don't mind prioritizing stuff, but at the end, when we sum it up, then we might have to come back.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I mean, I get,
okay with it, but
again, but, you know, I mean, that's,
I don't know how much is all gonna total up to be, so.
right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I guess we acknowledge that is the next priority for sidewalks. And if we can fit it in, that would be okay.
Well, I know at Palm Springs, what they do is they have pedestrian and bike on the side. And it's painted and that's it, you know, I mean, you see people walking out there, you see that they've got bicycles, more bikes than anything though.
And I do think this is a conservative effort, but it, you know,
That's the.
site costs are, I mean, yeah, it could easily.
0.26.
Okay.
Let's see, and then just more, these.
Yeah, 0.26.
Previous.
Previous ones.
I think one that was added was Oakland Street sidewalk and Virginia Street sidewalk from the bridge to Highway 35. And actually, I went out there the other day, that's gonna be a little complicated. Just the way, because the ditch there, but
So just out of curiosity, and I know you asked me to put that on there, but why are we putting sidewalk on text dots right away?
well, what it. would
And they just
be-
spend-
it would Be a grant though. It would, we'd have it on here, but we wouldn't, if we did that, we would be paying, it would be with a grant.
90-10.
Now the one on Oakland,
The Oak Glen would be ours.
and actually that would probably need to go first in this, just so you know conceptually what's going on. Is the next time we apply for an alternative transportation grant, the next natural phase would be, and I have gotten requests for this, is have a shared use path from Independence up to Oakland. But we didn't put it in this year's application because it would not score because it's not going anywhere, because we don't have anything on Oakland. If in fact we had a sidewalk on Oakland, they would probably approve it.
Is that in our sidewalk plan?
It isn't our sidewalk plan,
Looking at 75,000.
but you're right, the one on 1090 would be part of a grant. We probably would not do that.
As I'm putting that in there, I'm like, they
Maybe
just,
be a different color.
they just.
Yeah,
put
we probably didn't.
As a
We
VFW,
did not
They do.
communicate that to with Susan, but that would be.
Yeah, more sense this way.
Yeah.
Would be the one that's,
Virginia Street.
And
Virginia
it's,
Street.
okay.
because it's not something we have for sure, have even applied for, but in our thinking that you're right, we probably would not, that would not be a high priority for us to pay all by ourselves, but it would be a priority to apply to get grant funding,
Well, why don't we move Oakland up to next year? And that way it's closer to your priority in case we need to,
or maybe the year after that. I mean, again,
whichever year he thinks.
yeah, we can reverse those a little bit. Again, we're just trying to put things on the list, know what we're thinking about. Okay, yeah,
The drainage
did that.
for Fifth Street outfall is completed. Lights phase one for the next couple of years, that's on funding, right?
Phase 1 and 2 is what will,
What's going out this summer?
yeah, actually, I mean, they're working on it. We just realized here recently that we've got to add
And
water line.
Randy's responded already. Yes, it'll all fit. He just needs your
Okay.
okay to move forward.
Yeah, they're getting ready, to have the bid specs for the drainage done, and we realized that there's 2 blocks of that we need to replace the water line too. We had that in there, we just
And we'll,
looked at when we were talking to him, so,
the other part, that's in further back.
yeah, so, but yeah, in a few months, we should be ready to bid that thing out.
And then we'll have a better idea.
It's phase 1 and phase 2.
Go get bond funds on that.
Yeah, once we bid it, then we'll know where we're at with respect to bonds and how much more we're gonna need to go get for our second letting. Okay, then down,
Moving on. I was supposed to have met with somebody about a slurry seal for 2 subdivisions, but he never showed up. So I gotta call him and find out why. And
yeah,
it's gonna be for Mariemont and then
but this is different than that ox
yeah,
stuff, okay.
this actually seeps into the cracks and then spreads out and it seals them top and bottom. But it's for Mariemont and then what's the name of those 2 subdivisions? I can never remember them.
Yeah, well,
Main Street, what is that?
yeah, ask me too quick. It's Jennings,
Chatterton and
And Lou Davis.
Davis, yeah. So for those 2, and
Everybody just calls
I
it.
mean, the guys are seal coat or crack sealing now. I don't see it as a priority to move it into this year, but that's up to you guys if you.
Well, the crack sealing they're doing now is really well done. Did a really good job.
But yeah, at some point we will need that, okay.
So that's, those 2 line items are there for that.
Fremont is where
That's my district.
On that side, behind there.
Fremont's on the west side of Alcoa, that,
On the behind, it's behind the old, where the drive-in theater used to be.
Right, yeah.
That was a long.
No driving.
Yeah, I've been here too long. Starting to know all that. Oh,
The Exorcist came out, my mother wouldn't let us go. So we went to see something else.
Is South Guadalupe, is that this year? Or is that next year? Or-
That is, I've scheduled that for 25, 26, but it's
Not gonna be finished over there.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
5 to start.
I'm,
It needs to be either 25 or 26.
I don't want to get in their way
Okay.
yeah,
with another project,
The streets are horrible and we need to clean them up when they finish the current.
especially if a different company bids on it.
That's also
Well, that's real.
Connor's Court over there.
Yeah.
Is
That's
the roads
good.
are,
That's your.
They torn up all the roads too.
Yeah, where?
Jerry Smith's,
Yeah.
place Connors Court, all the roads
Yeah,
I'd
you
look
must have
at-
finished that before you started.
and Commerce.
are both in horrible shape.
So,
Yeah, real bad shape.
It's bad.
Border and Central Avenue street improvements, I've scheduled this out at 26, 27 to redo them completely at that point, but in the meantime, we're going to do what we did on Randall Street and zip them up and 2-course them,
What about,
re-level the curbs.
what about the
He said he's gonna redo. them
Okay,
in
the
2
whole
years. Well, in 2 years, but.
gutters too?
We're gonna re-level all the curb and gutter and zip it up and 2-course it to get a few more years out of it so that I can get a better estimate of what it's gonna cost to rehab those completely.
Those curves are like that. And that little car, well,
I've got a crew that has really become efficient at leveling out curbs. They did a wonderful job over on Randall.
So was that in your maintenance budget then? That's not on here?
Down big.
SIP?
Yeah, that's in me.
Good, thank you.
Then, nothing there. Recalo Drive, reconstruction. That's something that really needs to be done, and I'm also looking to put in speed tables. That's, once again, though, the cost of that's gonna depend on when we do it,
Speed table?
like what I put in on Houston Street.
Yeah,
Those were pretty good. Can we get some of those over by the schools?
I thought we weren't using
Jackson?
those kind of stuff because it ruins some of the vehicles, the city vehicles.
no,
We have approved,
how they're, yeah, they're
They're-
positioned so they, yeah,
they're engineered so the emergency rescue vehicles can straddle them.
right.
So can we get those on Jackson Street when school starts or look at that maybe? Cause I get a lot of complaints where people are running those stop signs. And they go too fast.
On Jackson, they're running them.
Oh, yeah, they just barely slow down and just go right, especially now because we, fixed the road, so it's
Yeah.
worse.
So we put them on Houston as a test,
Yeah.
and I've had nothing but good praise for it. So I'm gonna put 2 sets at Lighthouse Beach. Or I'm gonna put two at Lighthouse Beach, one before the RV park and one right before the splash pad, because people just fly down through there too.
Okay.
And also Brook Hollow, but I can,
I don't know what it's like over by Travis, but if you could consider that on Jackson, because I know the people living there would be very pleased.
and then Mildred Street rehab, this is a placeholder. Cause we're still hoping that Rexco, or maybe we could partner with the county to do it.
Money in the budget for that?
Yeah, I put money in the budget for it, but if we can't partner with somebody to do it, we gotta have the money to do
Well, I
it.
mean,
At one point, if they were willing to partner,
David Hall,
Mildred Street.
I mean, he told me that the county would probably partner with us this
Yeah.
year.
And I budgeted for that but this was a placeholder in case
Yeah.
it fell through, so.
So bottom line, we may be able to get, I mean, this may not even have to come out of CIP. I
Right.
think we've got it budgeted.
Yeah, that's why I put the placeholder in
Yeah.
28.
And realize too, a lot of this stuff, we're gonna be getting the certified role tomorrow, actually.
Right.
And then there's a lot of fine tuning that's gonna be done. And then based upon these priorities, we're gonna try to fund and slot in as much as we can and give you all a list of what we were able to get into the budget based upon your thoughts on this and present it to you on August 4th. And that's just giving you all the budget, and then you're gonna be reviewing it, and if there are some things that you decided, no, okay, wait a minute, we wanted this project funded more than that one, we still have,
Yeah,
we're still gonna have all of our budget workshops, this is not, again, this is not a final decision.
Right, there's just give us some guidance, right?
Multiple times too, up through the end of actually voting on and approving the budgets.
And I think in reality, that Brook Hollow Drive's gonna be pushed out another couple of years. I don't think that's 24, 25, but just thinking, but
Okay, moving on.
okay,
These stuff, we've had some cost overruns, but those have been addressed.
Right.
Yeah,
that's.
Sanchez and Brooks Street and drainage rehab. Those are the 2 little side streets one's behind my public works building and one's just over one street on Wilson. We're gonna go in and redo the roads because they're horrible. But Jody and I are looking into seeing how we can set up a drainage system to get those areas to drain because they hold water. It's like a bathtub back there.
Do they have underground drainage or is it
No.
ditches?
Mm-mm.
It's ditches.
no, we'd have to extend it off Mahan and
Wilson.
Wilson. Put something back in there.
So, Jody mentioned it, and I think it's a brilliant idea. It's just concrete valley gutter roads. Not pavement, but actual concrete roads that are valley gutted that leads to drainage. I think that's probably our best, most economic choice.
But I think at this point, it's a placeholder, because I know we can't do both of those for.
No. I didn't have a direction to go on that pricing. So. Dump trucks in 2025, 26, because I can't get a hold of one until end of 24. Catch oil tank. This is one of the things that we desperately need. Our current oil tank, we can get a couple thousand gallons and we have to use it within 30 days because it's not heated, agitated. And when the guys pull up to fill up their oil tanks on the equipment, they're there for minimum 6 hours to fill up. So this new tank, 3,000 gallon tank that's heated, agitated. The shelf life of oil without heating or agitating it is like 30 days. But if you heat it and agitate it, you can get it up to 180. Because then it won't separate. And it just makes it, when you fill up our tank in like 30 minutes rather than 6 hours. It would be, if we have the money to do it, it'd be the way to go. And it'd improve my response time to road repairs and rehabilitation.
Well, I mean, based on how we're proceeding, do we have the money? Again, it's hard for me to judge how much we have available this year. You wanna?
But we'll put it over to this year and, and we'll have to address that if we don't.
Sounds like something that's really needed
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
Okay.
Got the money.
Okay.
We don't have any next year.
So we're just.
I don't know, we have any next year?
And we've got some reserve that cover us, but I'd like to have some of that reserve carry over for next year's big projects.
Just in case.
And then the maintainer will be getting in September. Corporation ditch rehab, that's grant funds.
And I'm not sure where the 350,000. No, that's under corporation ditch. I'm not sure if that's left over from something. Because, I mean, we're looking at.
Study and underway.
Right, and that's what, we're looking at using
The mitigation funds.
CDG mitigation funds, approximately, $5 to $5.5 million. Pension fund and everything. It's large. I'm not sure if we.
That's grant money, you said? That's grant money?
That is, but it's not, I don't know what this 350,000 was. I think that must be left over from.
Previous fiscal year.
I think at one point we had budgeted $400,000 ditch and spent a little bit of it. I'm guessing we just need to research that. I don't think
That was in the,
You know what?
that was in the CIP for,
Last year.
I know,
Here.
I think it's.
And I don't-
over from that 400,000 we were.
I have no idea where it came from. I just know it's there.
Right.
It's slush fund, we know.
I wish.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break, 10 minutes.
5-minute break for 10 minutes.
That's how late we got, say 5 minutes.
It'll end up being 15 or 20.
That's what he said.
This
I'm
thing,
trying to get through this.
Need something to keep me awake.
Yes. Almost done.
It's not, I mean, we're just
Well, it's
we're just
3:30.
concentrate on the new stuff. And,
Utilities. Yeah, all right.
but again, I'm just trying to get an idea of what you guys really want us to try to fit in here. And that's where we'll start.
Whatever. How about the priorities on that?
Look ahead, study ahead.
I think once we get through parks, the rest of it should be pretty quick.
Yeah, it's Walmart, you want anything?
Yeah, we're thinking, maybe we want to speed things up a little bit, just go. So the few we've asterisked, if you guys agree that those would be good as priorities, and then you can kind of look through the others and see if you have anything else that we want to kick in.
What are the first five related to the baseline plan?
Yeah, so I tried to group them by park.
Okay. Okay.
So,
And I was noticing these little ones here. The artwork on the crosswalk, the sidewalk, bayfront, and then the pole banners, those all add to $50,000. That could be one project. But in my mind, and I think we can probably fit this in the budget, would be to do the banners this coming year for sure, or at least some of them, and the artwork on the raised crosswalk.
Where's the raised crosswalk?
You know, the entrance into Bayfront,
The one that's right there right now?
yeah.
Hey, you want to move those two forward?
I would have
Good
to.
with that.
Now, the Parks Board, one of their top priorities was the CXC restroom near the skate park. And they also wanted to push for the fence at Butterfly Park. I know we just did a survey, and although the majority of the people seem to support it, there is a number of people, and I think it's basically the people that live on the canal there by the park that do not want it. So
Do not want what?
they don't want a fence to where you can see to their backyards.
Oh,
We've been talking about building like a wrought iron fence or a nicer fence that you can have a view to the bay. But I think we need to,
But it's more of a view into the canal, which all those people
Yeah.
live on.
right.
Right.
That's not our property, it's theirs, so
I mean, we probably,
you're coming from.
I don't know that I think, honestly, I think we need to think through this a little bit more and maybe get a better design of exactly what we want. So maybe, I wouldn't be troubled with putting it off another year, but we put it off a couple of years, but they were thinking they needed a nice looking
Where's that? That's down.
Butterfly Park over at where it says wrought iron black fence, GF 115.
Okay, got it. Wrought iron, okay.
But they did want to see if we can fit in that CXT restroom at Wilson Park. And then, of course, the slide at the swimming pool.
Well, will that help with the soccer field too?
Yes.
That restroom, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, and if you want to look through there, most of that stuff's pretty self-explanatory. If you see, I know shade is an issue around whether we want to try to fit another diffuse shade structure somewhere. But yeah, again, where the priorities, I'm hearing the slide is the main one because there was a lot of discussion on that last year. And we could not fit in the budget, but we can fit it in this year. We'll just make it a priority.
Slide at the pool?
Yeah.
What's the daily attendance at the pool?
That I do not.
I know on Mondays and Thursdays, I think it's Thursdays. The Y goes out there. I know it's on Mondays because I'm good.
I've just not had a chance this year to, whenever they have an issue, I send Eddie out to take care of it.
I know when I drive by in the evenings, yeah, there are certain days that it looks like it's just packed. And then other days, there's hardly anybody, but this is around, this is, 5:30 or
Well,
so.
and surely, I mean, the slide's going to increase attendance.
Yes.
Hugely, I would think.
Yeah,
And talk about making a statement when people come over the causeway, they're gonna see that big slide there.
There used to be a slide there.
Oh.
There used to be one.
the slide that I proposed last year is one that the city of Corpus put in at the Greenwood pool, and it increased their attendance 300%.
Oh, I'm sure.
Is this one that kind of flips you over or something?
It's spiral and
Actually, there's two of them.
yeah, there's two slides.
So why want to partner with us from some of their revenues? You asked.
Well, I mean, I asked her and she's looking in to see if there were any kind of grant funds available, but I don't know, to help, but
That into this year's column.
it's up to council, but I know that was, I heard a lot of comments about that, yes. Yeah.
Or what are the trails? Oh, that's way out there. Let's see.
Let's see.
So on the benches and stuff, is there something that we might want to get people to donate, like Rotary and different clubs to donate benches and things like that? That's
We have
when you travel, you see all these parks have people's names on all
we actually have a program to where people can donate memorial benches.
of them. Okay.
But that's usually they buy the bench and provide us with a plaque with their whoever they want's name on it. And we put it in. But we designate what bench it has to be.
I don't know if that's well advertised, but do we have like a
Yeah, I
plan
didn't
for
know.
where we want bench? I mean, if we had something that we could advertise and then, people could.
Well, and one things that we're working on, we now have a bank account set up specifically for parks. And we're working to make it easier for people to donate to that fund. Parks,
Yes.
using a QR code, text number, whatever.
It's an old bank account that's not used.
So.
You could receive donations into that account.
Right, and so the idea is that, and I'm working on, sign and we probably start at Lighthouse Beach to where, because, we no longer require admission into that beach. Sign there, this Lighthouse Beach was, here for the enjoyment of the citizens of Port Lavaca and tourists or whatever. And if you, enjoy your time here and want to help us continue to make it grow or whatever, consider a donation here, and there'll be a QR code. They can go and donate. We can have in there, suggested donations for admission, $1, $2, $15, $25, other whatever, but something, see how that goes to generate some income, some revenue from just people that want to get. But yeah,
Maybe who's superintendent of the parks now is a joke.
no.
Eddie.
It's Eddie.
Eddie. Eddie? Oh, okay.
They're retired.
Oh, okay. So, well, I was just like, so on benches and stuff that we could maybe get that advertised, people would.
Yeah, well, I mean, that might be something we just need to get a plan together and
Somebody wants to
choose some
donate to
more.
the street, but they'll donate to something. they
Yeah.
So are we gonna move over the Wilson Park restrooms, right?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
You're okay to move that forward?
I think it's a good idea.
Are we gonna start hosting soccer tournaments? It's kind of one of the things, the selling points when we have those fields built. We're gonna be doing tournaments. I don't know who would actually do them.
Well, those fields are utilized.
Why, yeah.
They are, so
tournaments and season.
Any revenue from that? So I'm just wondering, is there a way that we can get, I mean, a little bit of revenue to help maintain the bathrooms and things like that? Is there any mechanism? Well, like for a tournament, you know, the
Like
city,
they
there'd be a
used to,
fee
yeah,
to
putting
host a
the
tournament
operating.
to help pay for the maintenance or something. I mean, I don't know if other cities do that, but I think they do.
I can look into it, but I prefer
Or permit, that's,
less we,
That, I don't recall getting revenues from the tournaments, because how they view it is when you're hosting a tournament. Then you have people coming in your city and you're spending
sales tax, yeah.
you're spending money at your businesses. So that's kind of how the trade-off there.
Okay.
yeah, so I don't see a way that we can do that unless we turned it into a fee to play sports park.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a nice revenue because it's not coming from your citizens.
Right.
Funding, you know, that's why.
I mean, probably the only way you can make any money off of Wilson Field is to utilize the concession stand.
And now just the different groups, they just use the building.
Yeah. Little league and softball tournaments. And if we can set it up to where if they're gonna use the concession stand, the city needs to get X amount of whatever.
I mean, if it made sense just to help with maintenance and stuff, I don't know if they'd pay for a bathroom, but I know in the past, the Little League has donated some money for some of the lighting. That was so long time ago, but in a while since we've negotiated something like that, but you know, the groups, the nonprofit groups that utilize those fields in the past they could get grants and stuff like that too, I think.
Because I mean, it's the Y is using it for the most part, isn't it? Soccer fields.
No,
Is that
we have men's and women's soccer leagues that utilize it the most.
is the same one that, because I know one uses City Park too a lot.
That I'd have to ask Cindy. I try not to stick my hands in that. That's a nightmare.
It's kind of like the road tax, right? I mean, people, you buy gasoline, you pay, people who use it pay for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to. Think that, anyway.
Okay. Well, I mean, does anybody else see anything that jumps out at them that want to make sure we get in next year?
So,
Oh, I could have made it longer.
sure. So,
A lot of that stuff I can move in if we have the money.
what's the, I guess that's.
Well, I know, one of the other things that's come up recently is a covered basketball court. Parks Board, we basically decided that the best place for that would be Wilson Park. But, I mean, we don't have a cost estimate. I've reached out several contractors and I know Wayne has too. We still don't have a number back. But I know it's going to be more than $80,000.
No, that's George Adams.
Well, that's just to extend the concrete.
Yeah.
But the problem there is it's not going to work anyway because the court is rotated 90 degrees too long. It's wrong. So to extend it, you'd have to get a full court, covered or not, have to cut the tree down.
Yeah.
And so, and I've talked to several kids out there who said, no, keep it a half court. I want the shade.
Okay.
So we're not accomplishing anything by trying to extend the court at George Adams. We need to invest in a covered basketball court at Wilson Park.
And I put it in fiscal year 29 and beyond because I don't know how this number is going to hold up, but I asked the former public works director from Portland what they spent on their covered basketball court. He said it was 175, but that was 3 years ago. So
That's what I was thinking.
I put 175 in there as a placeholder. And if we want to prioritize, then I will find out who they had do it and get a more firm price.
The number in here right now is just 80.
No, that's George Adams.
Oh.
Hudson's up.
Gotcha.
175.
Kids.
Okay, so we don't
Full
need
court.
that 80.
Do they play full court basketball or would it be better to have like two half courts?
Oh, they want full.
They want full
They
court.
want full court.
They do.
Yes. That was, we had, somebody come to the Parks Board and said, yeah, they really need full court.
Well, you want to move it into like 24, 25?
Yeah, that probably would be good to try that, sure.
If put it on,
Yes.
get it noticed.
Yeah.
I will reach out to Rick and see if I can't get work, the company that put it in for him.
Okay, we'll put that in 24, 25 for. Yeah. Okay. I mean, just a general question. Do you guys agree or disagree that it's money wisely spent to invest in shade structures?
Shade structure.
You're talking about
Outside the
overplay
sun.
escapes.
Over playscapes, you know, cabanas, over benches.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I know we.
It's just that they are a lot of money. It's just, you
They
know,
are a lot of money.
What kind of shade structure?
well, I mean, they range from just a wooden shade structure like we have on the beach.
That would be over the benches and then canvas.
Shade structures like we have over the splash pad down at Bayfront, which you can build big shade structures over playscapes and stuff.
A canvas type of material.
Yeah, it's a sail shade structure.
Yeah.
They're
And the-
just so expensive, right?
Yeah.
they are
Very expensive.
and they're going, I mean, the one we spent at Lighthouse Beach, that cost us 40,000. To get an even smaller one now at Bayfront is probably at least 60, right now.
Yeah.
It's just,
And
and
the
just the single ones that would go over
cantilevered.
cantilever ones, they're like 40,000, just.
Those, I mean, with windstorm and stuff, I mean, those it's almost better to like
Well, and that's. the
Oh,
thing,
that's the-
Rated, but
still.
That's my issue with them is they're labor intensive because if you've got a storm coming in, you gotta go take them
Okay,
down.
take them down.
yeah, so we want to limit those that we gotta go take them down, but the,
For like benches, can't we plant trees and have
yeah,
natural shade as
Yes.
opposed to
I mean, I agree with
and
you.
birds?
But then you gotta back up and say, okay.
So many years.
Trees, so I get it irrigated. And so I gotta do the irrigation and then the plant the trees, yeah.
Well, at the Y, we got one that was rated pretty. So, but that's just
That was
kids. But the thing is, it's here in South Texas, I've paid a lot of money for skin cancers and tell you that that's one of the things that.
Yeah.
Problem with.
Good idea, the
Splash pad at Lighthouse Beach, the shade structure that's there. Manufacturer says it should only take you 45 minutes to take it down,
Yeah.
because we're there 6 hours.
6 hours. Yeah, because they only do it once every.
And putting it up took them all day.
So, and that's how, I mean, do you get 5 years out of those shape, those things or
Supposed to be 10
10?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll see. It's been what, 2?
and 4,
Yeah, it's been 4 years, hasn't it?
3,
Maybe.
almost 4, going on the 4th year.
Yeah, so there's, there's a balance on that, right? The over the play structure is that high.
Over the play,
You have to have them.
yeah, I mean, I think it's cost prohibitive to do anything permanent over those, but yeah, for the other places, the small places, it makes more sense to have a structure that we build.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so,
Our new signs, right?
The Bauer sign should be coming, or
So that money is.
Bauer
yes,
sign.
I think it's supposed to be delivered to the contractor in September, right? Yeah,
10.
yeah, it's just, everything's got such a long.
Well, it's supposed to show up in September and I emailed it back, asked if that included installation. I haven't got a response.
But yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
Moving on, irrigation and landscaping along 35 around the chamber and around the chamber entrance. Part of beautifying our gateways, and it only makes sense to, I mean,
Just,
ours is one of our flagship buildings.
And we gotta have it irrigated first, so.
Chamber entrance, that's at the power center.
Yeah,
Oh, this
It's on the
is all
side
about-
door, right?
Right, but then I'm also a patch along 35, maybe where the palm trees are now. But then also up there next to the chamber, there's an area there, the grass just flat out will not grow. And I think I talked to Chris and we can probably extend the existing landscaping in that area for about $5,000. But then the balance of that, it's some irrigation somewhere out.
Yeah.
Where it's visible from the highway and put a little color
yeah.
in there.
And once again, it's one of our flagship buildings.
Yeah.
Right at our gateway. I think we need to do something.
Yeah.
To improve it.
Yeah, and they need to be able to see the chamber. Because I know when we moved to Rock, that's the first place I went was the chamber to find out where things were. And that's what we want people to do.
And there's a little bit of maintenance we need to do, fix up that walkway and stuff too, but I don't think that's a whole lot of money, but that could be done in the same project probably.
And then
Yeah.
souvenir coin press. And Jody showed this to me and I went to their website, watched all their little videos and looked into it, and it's just a wonderful thing. I think I actually
Would that be a
suggest we need 2 of them.
lighthouse, the lighthouse.
We need one in the lighthouse and then one at Lighthouse Beach for the RV campers. Because when we get somebody down there that's a winter Texan, comes in for the weekend, when they're in the rec room, they can make a.
You know, along those lines, I was at a festival in Pennsylvania, last week, and they had a Chamber of Commerce at the festival doing something like that. They had the police department was there, and you could get your picture taken, and then they'd make you a badge with your picture on it, and they were handing those out. And then they had like 3 city functions there. It was really cool. So, there's things we could do like that. Yeah.
And I did finally get prices back, and what I budgeted is right in there.
Okay.
I mean, we can get 2 of them for just a little over $8,000.
Okay.
Lighthouse Beach,
40,000.
going back to shade structures, 3 cabanas at the splash pad with picnic tables for seating. Raised crosswalk and a sidewalk from the splash pad to the bathrooms. Those are pretty important.
And then, and quickly I can add, again, long range out here, we did put in a Kepler grant application for an engineering study and at least a phase 1 project to address our existing concrete groins out there and make any changes or additions to those to rehab the beach and get it to where the sand doesn't, go away with every high tide, and have put in a constructed wetlands, not constructed wetlands, a living shoreline along our wetlands area to the west of the beach. So again, if we were to get all that, that would be grant funds, but that's, we have made application, see whether we get that.
And because on here is dredge the boat ramp. As a preventative measure, as we just did it this year, so it won't be due again until next budget year. I'm gonna budget in next year's the 24-25 funds to dredge that, and it'll be something that we'll approach annually.
So moving on to these back into this year. Okay, about that. All right, this is. You want to do this?
Just move stuff around. on you.
Right.
Move everything a year forward or what?
But right now, I think we're,
Need change.
the Leon Street water line. We'll be putting in,
Yeah,
will be in, I mean,
yeah, Leon Street will be in this year.
but other than that. That is
Highlighted in green and red.
60. You have posted.
So that's all, all I have for water.
Yeah.
Priorities. Moving on to wastewater. The DeShazer sewer replacement. That is a priority, but it isn't. It can wait. Recall sewer along Lynn's Bayou. That I'm sure Ken will say that's a priority for us to do. And there's several manholes back there that do need to be rehabbed. But I need actual numbers for that and I don't have them. So these are placeholders and.
Those are way past their useful lifespan.
Yeah, and that's a priority deal. Now. The lift station upgrades.
Sorry.
That Ann Street lift station is a priority for me. But again, that's up to you guys and if we don't have it, we can't do it, obviously, but I mean, we've pushed it off already.
I thought we had a plan like every year, every other year to just replace lift stations, right?
And
Yeah.
it was on,
We have the money.
it was on last year and we didn't have the funds to do it. And that's because it went from, when we started this out, we were looking at 300,000, 400,000 apiece. And the price just doubled and tripled.
Well, with the new meters installed, is our meter revenue going back up? I mean, are we seeing any bump?
Well, and that's something that, you know, you really not see until here just now.
Just
Yeah.
Because
That project was,
just delayed more so than we had hoped.
and they're just now finishing up.
Well,
They've got a few.
So again, what we were, yeah, I mean, again, you can, what I'd like to at least be able to this year, get the engineering going. Because that's gonna take 6 months at least to do that. And,
And I've been, you know, we've been tracking the trends, watching the volumetric fees, you know, on the water usage and stuff. I just don't have enough right now to, you know,
bottom line, we're being very conservative.
yes.
of the three, which one would you want to do first? Wayne, of those first three, which you had to pick one, which one would it be?
And
Street, yeah,
Well, let's put
clearly,
it in and see what happens.
okay.
And then you can see the outline I've got for the other lift stations, and those numbers are purely just placeholders, because I am almost certain they're gonna go up even more.
So what happened with the one by City Park? Why did that turn into such a,
The electrician was dragging his feet.
well, then you
And
had
that
to dig
cost-
into the street. Was that part of the project?
Yeah, they had to replace manholes and
Oh,
abandoned sewer lines.
okay, so that was all,
And the gusher and all that.
Well, that's because we have AC pipe in that area, and if you even breathe on it wrong, it ruptures.
You got it wrong.
so is that almost finished then, or it is finished?
All they're lacking is putting up the fence.
And I think the concrete pavement, they got some concrete still to do and
They got some concrete work and fencing, then they'll be done. And then we go to the 100, 200 blocks of Guadalupe in Colorado. That was a priority until my guys found out where the clay pipe was cracked at and dug it up and replaced 60 feet of it. So we're not dumping sewer into the storm drain anymore.
Good, I hadn't heard that.
So that could be put off, but it still needs to be done.
Which one is that?
The
One-
100 to 200 blocks of Guadalupe and Colorado.
7-3.
And again, that number is just a placeholder because I got astronomical prices. One was low and one was just insanely high on doing it because they didn't want to bid, didn't really want the job. They're busy. And I thought what's this 1.8 for plant
I
expansion?
think that was initially for the engineering, I think is what we were talking about.
Yeah, to pay for some kind of preliminary engineering and the engineering, because we have the engineer kind of developing the loan application and
Oh,
everything.
is that the,
I mean, this
is
is.
that the environmental study? I'm at a loss for that one. Have
It's
to.
in there last year, it's just a carrier.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was
Right.
just trying to estimate, because I mean, at this point, I think we've got to, yeah, work on the environmental. I'm gonna get back with the notes. We'll get back on this and see where we need to go. There will be some money we'll have to spend before we get the grant, the loan.
So that'll be in, so 75,000? 100,000?
I'll have to find out for sure. Okay.
You want to put something in there for a placeholder there?
Yeah, we'll put something, because we'll for sure be having to spend money next year.
Okay.
Before we get a loan.
My phone's blowing up over here.
I'll have to find out what that,
On the wastewater, on the last line item, that 1.4 million,
that's what we're doing
Right now.
right now, yeah,
is a
That's,
mechanical.
yes.
it should be, what's the word?
I think that,
Covered?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
It's been awarded.
and it's being paid. So they're sitting in a capital projects fund.
okay, Jimmy, you want to come up and help me go over this one? Ports and harbors, there's not a whole lot. So we,
A lot of changes.
the,
Let's see,
Do
do we want to, are we gonna go over all these grants or?
let's just go through from the top. I mean, the stuff in the current year, I mean, we know that's ongoing right now. So
Like the-
let's get this 80,000 for the facelift to the building
Right.
place. Just generally, that was,
Then we have that.
they're replacing doors and was that the roof, a little bit of roof?
Yeah, that was what that was. I think didn't we put 80 in there for that?
Yeah.
That was the roof repair, finish up the deck. I think we were gonna call that phase 2 of the deck. Remember, Jody thought maybe it'd be nice to have that storefront on the south end of the building.
Yes.
Take the two doors out and put a nice storefront with that. I agree. I think it'd dress the building up.
Look, right now, it looks like you're going in the mechanical.
Oh, exactly. Some landscaping, and some, lighting. Most of those lights that we put on the deck when we did that work we did, I don't know, it's been several years ago. We just put some cheap solar lights on them, $3 or $4 a piece. Of course, most of that stuff's not working, so we were gonna do a little bit of landscaping on the side. Probably
So for sure, we want to put that 80,000 in this.
think so, yeah. Yeah.
The landscaping, I mean, do we want to do very much there? Because that waterfront development plan is gonna have.
Well, I mean, really, I don't think we'll be doing much
But no,
landscaping.
I don't think so. Just kind of do that side.
Front yet till we figure all that. So it's basically the door, the deck,
Roof, the lighting,
and the lighting.
and that little bit of landscaping on the side.
Which side? The south,
It'd be on the north side.
on the north side?
Yeah, that just right, right along that.
On that,
There's a lot of rotten wood right there.
yeah, and I think when we had looked at that, it wouldn't be a whole lot because
We're getting ready to,
what's up against the building, that's not gonna get disturbed whenever we do the entrance.
And this
I
is
wouldn't.
port stuff, right? Okay.
So now the parking lot improvements,
We're not gonna fool with that, I don't think. are we?
right, this actually be 100 right now, budget wise. What we're looking at was, the parking lot behind Nautical Landings, at whatever point we want to do that, splitting that cost between economic development and ports and harbors.
But are we gonna add, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No.
Like every year, we're gonna put a little bit, so when we get a little closer to doing it, we'll have, remember kind of how we talked about throwing a little bit of money at it the next few years, so.
We can, I mean, the idea is, fitting it wherever we think it's gonna go.
Okay,
We could, whatever year it's gonna go. I mean, if you don't spend it, it just rolls over the next year. Okay.
Talking about parking lot?
Yeah, that's what I talked about earlier. They were thinking about 300,000 for the, like behind Nautical Landings with the 10-foot wide walkway.
The other half of it is.
Right, and that's what we want to kind of push that off a little bit and incorporate that into some of our overall planning.
Okay.
Yeah, but at whatever point we do that, I think, Port Commission can pay for part of that.
Sure.
But not the whole thing. And again, same thing, I don't think economic development should pay for the whole thing. It's not parks. It's because part of that parking lot is going to be public parking for that area, not dedicated entirely to Nautical Landings. So it's kind of my thought process. Anyway, I don't hear that as a priority for this coming year.
So.
Okay,
we jump down to Harbor Refuge next, really. I think we really had much, well, one of the things that, okay. No, we're gonna work on the docks a little bit too. We did all that repair work after the storm. Of course, we knew we didn't have a breakwater, and of course, we got issues with the docks now. But hopefully we'll have that breakwater done here real soon. And so it's not a whole lot of money. I think it was, I don't know what it was, $25,000 or $30,000, I think.
that we're just spending in the budget for maintenance or whatever.
Well, we could use that. That would be a capital improvement though, wouldn't it? I don't know.
You got a budget out already? Okay, well then don't worry about it. Well,
Okay, okay. And then I guess we jump down here to the Harbor Refuge.
yeah,
And I don't remember how we ended up with that phase one of the
well, that was for.
shoreline. Were we are we kind of waiting to see if we get that grant money or?
Phase one for the voluntary restoration.
Yes.
Planning on, it's in a different column. That's grant funds. We're looking at using CDBG mitigation grant funds to do that phase one restoration project.
Okay.
And that's the $9.1 million we've been allocated. We have to apply for it.
Yeah.
You have to apply for it. Our application date is October 20th. There's 3 projects we're looking at. One of them is this voluntary restoration, CDBG MIT. Actually, and one of them is Health League and Main Street detention pond for solving that drainage issue. And then the third one is streets and drainage.
Oh, yeah.
Like one drainage system north of Austin Street.
But you're still gonna move that into this year's column or next?
Yeah, it's gonna be this year.
2020?
Yes. Because we should get them, hopefully get the go ahead next spring. So we'll start spending it anyway.
So the corrugated metal pipe, that one needs to come forward, right?
That would come forward, yes, for sure.
Where are we?
I think he told me he was 85% done with the plans. I still don't have I haven't seen the plans or a preliminary cost estimate yet, but I should get that pretty soon. And then as soon as I get that, then I'll sit down with Wayne and see if we can, where that's at. But,
We didn't decide to replace.
yes, we did.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually sent my guys out there to clean it up and go through the pipe.
Yeah,
It's,
it was. worse
It's gotta be-
on the other end.
There's not.
there's no pipe.
Yes. It was pretty bad on the upstream side.
And I think weren't we going with larger pipes too, like 90
Yes.
inch pipes as well?
So we talked about it here.
And then this last thing, the peninsula shoreline, this is that Kepler applied for. That I'm optimistic we will get. I don't even know if we have any of it.
Everything, yeah.
We have a
It's
total,
all yours though.
That's everything in,
well, no, yeah, that's the,
including about 40 million of grants.
Yeah, we won't be around when that happens.
but anyway, but again, I mean, the objective today was just to kind of talk through and hear what things you guys consider priorities and not priorities. And then we'll go back and start putting this in based upon this conversation and kind of see where we're at.
See where the money falls.
Yeah.
Did we skip City Harbor? Did I?
No, really, we don't have anything going on over there.
So those are in 24, 25? The sandblast and recode bulkhead at Kodak?
No,
No,
and those, oh, you skipped, yeah, I don't think that's a priority for this coming year.
no.
We're gonna probably leave it where it's at.
For both of those items?
Yes.
Okay.
I would imagine that Evelyn's project, that dock is probably gonna be pretty bad.
Okay.
And we got a big cement, sidewalk on the back, and I'm sure there's no telling what we'll see underneath that.
Well, and realize too, Jack, I may have to push all these out even further
Yeah.
because the concept here is to kind of look at the fund balance, project where it's going out into the future, and then try to plan. And
Yeah, because there's no point in putting everything
Yeah.
next year and it's more money than we know we're gonna have to.
Parking area around Evans, it looks like somebody's been cleaning it up a little bit. It looks nicer, but I mean, that's kind of so when you cross the bridge, that's a place that people look too. Is there something that we can do to, because there's a lot of just dead grass still. But maybe that's a Boy Scout project or something, those projects that they do, but that area is a small area that could easily be enhanced looking. And maybe the building painted or something, something nice.
Right,
So I don't know, just.
We're fixing, fixing to lease it out.
yeah.
Okay.
The
Federation
Federation
of,
Cooperative.
yeah.
Cooperative of fishermen in this area. And so, it's just a year's lease right now, but if it works out, it could be a long-term lease and it would really be beneficial to the whole. Make City Harbor a working, more active.
Back to working, okay.
But yeah, those are things we can definitely,
Well, because I see people fishing there all the time and if we just make it, maybe
Yeah.
simple things just to make it
and
look
then
nicer.
we talked about with that. We talked about that with them. They're interested in maintaining that and keeping it available for the public to come fish. Okay, I mean, does anybody, can you think of anything that we didn't talk about that,
We will in about 20 minutes.
well, again, I mean,
They need some time.
you can always, text me or email me if.
Hey, this was a good exercise. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Thank y'all.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I got the motion and second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Hearing none opposed, motion passes. Patty.
Ben?
How was that?
Thank you. Thank you.